I don't know. I can imagine quite a bit.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadebunker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And we're just a few days away. We're preempting the regularly scheduled Media Nerds Podcast episode, which we've been doing kind of bi-weekly in conjunction with this. We're preempting that for this episode of Star Wars Nerds because it is the week that the Rise of Skywalker comes out. We're recording this on a Tuesday, so we have 2 days essentially until Thursday night when we're going to go see the film. So we're going to take a look at our predictions from a couple years ago after we saw...
I've been carrying them around. 2 years of carrying this wall of
After we
paper.
saw The Last Jedi, we made predictions. We're going to take a look at those. We also want to talk about The Mandalorian today because I loved the last episode, and we're getting a new episode early this week.
Tomorrow.
But I want to start with a tweet that we just got like minutes ago from Mr. Chris Schiffman.
Was he spoiling the movie or something?
No. He's
thank God.
giving me gears. He says, "Remember to stay and watch all the movie, Dan." And that's slight against me because I somehow forgot the last 10 minutes of episode 5 or whatever it was of The Mandalorian, episode 6. I don't remember which episode we're at, but the one where at the end of the episode,
the person
does take Baby Yoda hostage. I completely forgot about the part where the Mandalorian kills him. I don't remember watching that. I'm sure I did because I got to the end of the episode and it showed it, but I must have been distracted by my phone or something because I don't remember that at all.
Well, and then after you told the story, I was like, did I imagine? That's what I thought.
I was wondering why you didn't correct me. And I'm like,
well, I let you talk, which is what I always do. It's a classroom technique.
Thank you for letting me talk.
You let the person talk and get it out of them, and then you go, okay, hang on a second. Could it be? Remember McClunky?
That's right.
Okay,
yeah,
and then it wasn't there.
Yes.
And then I was like, wait a sec. Maybe this is a McClunky. Maybe there was something there that wasn't there that changed.
And then he says, and Kenton, remember the movie premieres Thursday evening, and you have tickets to the 6:30 p.m. showing at the Garrick.
That's a joke.
Is that a joke?
He wants me to go to the wrong place.
Because you're going to pull apart. Yeah. And also, I'm free for the Friday panel. Yeah, he messaged us a couple days ago about that, but we just decided now when we're going to do the Friday panel.
Maybe
so
we should do it whenever the movie comes out. We have so much to say. Maybe we should do it at 9:30 in the morning.
Sure.
On Friday.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll tell Schiff.
He'll
listen to this.
That's how we're communicating now. That's how we're talking to people. Just listen to the podcast. It's everything. Dad, can I go to my friend's house? Listen to the podcast. I'll tell you on the podcast.
I'll tell you. That's right. It's all on the podcast. I leave it all in the podcast.
So this last episode of The Mandalorian was by far my favorite episode of The Mandalorian.
It's a great episode.
It's so much fun. Where do we start? So many awesome character actors in this. I feel like every actor in Hollywood's just itching to get in on the Star Wars action.
Comedian, try.
Well, no. Bill Burr, I think, is getting into the Hollywood.
Yeah.
He's been acting in a few things now. Like, how long ago was it? 5 years ago, he was in Breaking Bad or something.
Yeah,
like that?
but he didn't have a big role.
No, I know, but he's here and there. He's been acting and stuff. So, and I don't even think someone told me that he's not even a Star Wars fan.
No, yeah, he famously makes fun of it.
So why did he go for the role?
Well, he wanted to be on Jon Favreau's chef show.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. But he was on the chef show.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, and that clearly was when they must have been shooting.
Yeah, so it was weird that
Mandalorian. But no, I just think they appear to be hiring comedians for many of the roles.
we've seen some of those, right? I just want to quickly bring up.
Yeah, many.
So I'm just going to quickly bring up The Mandalorian, but let's talk about the story first. It's the first episode that we've had take place completely in space.
Yeah,
which I love. It was a very good bottle episode, and if you're not familiar with that term, it just means that they pretty much stay in the same place for most of the episode. Like they're on that prison ship, and they reuse that set probably a bunch of different times from different angles. It's like Cube, right? They're using the same set over again to show us different parts of it, which I think is really clever, and I love that type of filmmaking. And yeah, all the characters we see, I'm going to bring up the character actors here, but all the new characters we saw and the whole idea of the jailbreak was really cool. I just loved every aspect of this. It was so much fun.
I'm happy that they got it all into one short episode. I thought it would have been easy for them to make it a two-parter, but I like it. I sort of like the quick, hey, all right, we're going to go do one of these, and then we're going to do one of those, and then we're going to go here, then we're going to go there. And as I said last week, I'm happy that the show, we don't know the shape of the show yet. We don't know like kind of how what a season of The Mandalorian is, and we still don't really know because we don't know how the last two episodes are going to wrap up.
Right. So this one is called The Prisoner. I'm just going to click on this. Hopefully it'll give us a rundown of all the cast in it. I'm trying to think of the guy who played the very first character we see at the beginning, the guy with the big long beard.
Oh, no, that's Sons of Anarchy guy.
Yeah, but he's also in Batman Begins.
Yeah, he is.
He's been in tons of stuff. I'm trying to figure out what his name is. Mark Boone Jr.
Yeah.
is an American actor best known for his roles as Bobby Munson in FX's Sons of Anarchy and in Christopher Nolan's Memento and Batman Begins. But I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. He's so well known. So he plays like an old guy. Now, he's pretty old. Like you can see, he's got big white beard, big white bushy beard. And they say he ran with the Mandalorian back in their old days. So how old do you think the Mandalorian is based on that?
As old as Pedro Pascal is.
We don't know because we haven't seen his face yet, but he could be a lot older than. He could be in his 50s maybe.
How old is Pedro Pascal?
I have to look up Pedro Pascal.
Are you going to look up that one?
Sure, I'll look up that one too.
Yeah, let's see what his actual age is because I don't know.
I'm going to guess late 40s.
Those biker guys from Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, he's actually 44 years old. He's a year older than me.
Oh, there you go.
So, damn you, Pedro Pascal.
I'm older than him. I could kick his ass. I could tell him what to do, and he'd have to listen.
So, but yeah, when they talked about like the old days, I mean, he's like, that was a long time ago. We don't get a sense of how long ago that was, but I'm thinking 20 years maybe. Is that kind of what you felt, or did you think about that at all?
No, I thought about it, but I think those Sons of Anarchy guys look older than they actually are. I think
part of
it's
his
hard to
charm
tell.
as a character actor is that he brings that really rough kind of like that's his deal, right?
Kind of a Nick Nolte. At first, I was confused in the Nick Nolte episodes. The Ugnaught, who looks like Nick Nolte,
kind of,
but the gruff voice at first I thought was the guy from Sons of Anarchy because I knew that he was in The Mandalorian. I'd heard that somewhere, so I thought that's who it was. I actually confused the voice.
Now, the next person we see, of course, is Bill Burr, who plays like an Imperial sharpshooter or something like that. And they make the joke saying that's not saying much, right? Because the stormtrooper's like, I wasn't a stormtrooper, wise ass, which is like probably the first utterance of the phrase wise ass.
That's pretty good.
In a Star Wars
He makes
thing.
a good Gungan joke. Are you a Gungan under there? Used to thinking you people going to die. Like he basically does a Jar Jar.
Yeah, he does a Jar Jar joke. So Bill Burr plays he's like leading the team to go spring a prisoner. We don't know who the prisoner is yet. The other actors in here. Okay, Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown I recognize from being the Kurgan in Highlander, the bad guy in Highlander, first of all. But he's also in Starship Troopers. He's the main prison guard in Shawshank Redemption, which is the head prison guard. But also in Starship Troopers, he's like the drill sergeant that trains them before they go off to battle. So he's just an amazing. And he plays this Deveronian, this big guy with the devil horns, and he's just huge and mean.
We see a version of that guy in the cantina.
Yes, we do. We see one of those in the cantina.
In the New Hope.
So this is
New Hope. Sorry.
So this is the first time we're seeing like one of those characters fleshed out a bit, but he's just being a dumb. He's not like there's not a lot to that character, but he's like super strong. So it was cool to see the Mandalorian fighting him later on, and then the other actor in here, Natalia Tena, played the. Now I recognize her. She's from Game of Thrones. Okay, I didn't recognize her because of the makeup. She plays the Twi'lek girl. But she was the wildling who took care of Bran in Game of Thrones. Remember her?
Yeah.
And then she's also in Harry Potter as well. She's been in a few things. So she was good as well. So all these awesome actors. And then, Richard Ayoade. How do you say his last name? Ayoade. Richard Ayoade.
The guy from the IT crowd.
Yeah. So, and he was the droid. He was the sketchy droid. And that's the feeling I got immediately as soon as we met these characters. I'm like, oh, these guys are not good news. Like, you cannot trust these guys at all. And they find the Baby Yoda immediately, and they start screwing around with Baby Yoda. I'm like, dude, this is not a good idea.
I had trouble paying attention for my usual reason for the first part of the episode because where's Baby Yoda? I kept asking, where's Baby Yoda? Is he in danger? Where is he on the ship? Where is he?
It's always on your mind.
I'm worried. I'm worried about him because we know the Mandalorian's not worried about him.
Well, he doesn't seem to care. Like
he's got a nice little room decked out for him. He looks happy in that little room. Actually.
Yeah. So I'm like, I just had a bad feeling about this the whole time, and of course, not too long into it, they betray him, but man, it was just so much fun, kind of just following them along on this. We learned about his ship called the I'm forgetting
The
the
Razor
name.
Crest.
Razor Crest. Do we know that before? Or was
Yeah.
that the first? Okay. Great, cool name for a ship. We learned that it's a specific type of ship that is not registered in Imperial or a New Republic or anything, so they can't trace it. That's why they need it. And then they go off to break a prisoner out of a New Republic prison ship. Not, they kind of set it up to be like, oh, it's a another gang or something, but it's not. It's this person's a legitimate prisoner, and they have to go bust him out of the ship, which I thought was really cool as well. So
We saw some prisoners in behind the bars.
yeah,
too,
that was a
as they
cool
walked down
shot.
there.
We got a shot of the type of alien that Jon Favreau is in Solo.
Oh, right.
That was with the forearms.
Right.
That guy was in there, and I can't remember what else is in there.
There's an Imperial guy wearing his
Right.
Imperial
Yep,
outfit,
yep.
looking through. Who else? I think we saw one more. I can't remember
Yeah,
who it
I'm
was
blanking
now.
on it. But again, that was cool.
And then we saw the guy, the kid, the one human being who was in charge of the
Who's
prison.
at the who's in the cockpit with his giant rebel helmet on.
Nice
And-
shoes.
and-
Bill Burr said, "Nice shoes, pal." They weren't a bit worried when they saw
yeah.
that guy.
Now, I think we're seeing the Mandalorian character is certainly becoming more clear as we go along. He does not want to kill people. That's very, very made very clear. Unless they threaten Baby
Well,
Yoda.
he did quick work on those. Like droids are a different story.
Yeah, he'll kill droids, no problem. He doesn't
Yeah.
care about droids. But with people, he does not want to kill that New Republic officer. He did kill the dude who was threatening Baby Yoda at the end of the last episode. So he will kill people if they're threatening Baby Yoda. But overall, he does not want to kill people. And he ends up not killing the 3 people who betrayed him. He just locks them up in a cell and leaves them there. And he doesn't kill. At the end of it, he finally takes the prisoner back to the first guy. He doesn't kill them either. He just gives them the homing beacon, and then Dave Filoni comes in and blows them up, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud when I saw Dave Filoni, and I groaned. But it was a
groaned
very,
too.
very, very kind of awkward cameo by Dave Filoni as one of the X-Wing pilots.
I don't really want to see behind the scenes cameos in that was to me was the one although I was pumped. I was so excited to see the X-Wing fighters.
That was cool, yeah. when
that
they
I didn't
come out of hyperspace.
That I sort of didn't. I was like, oh, there's Dave Filoni. Like it sort of didn't register so much. But I watched it a second time, as I have with all of the episodes. Maybe not one of them, but I think most of them I've seen twice. And the second time, I was like, I don't think we want the directors making appearances. I don't think.
Well, Favreau
we want,
did as well, but Favreau had a mask on.
It's like when back in the day, George Lucas and his family showing up, and you're like, okay,
Well, he never
fine.
did- But I mean, directors. Hitchcock made a cameo in all his movies. Like some directors
Yeah,
do
but-
that, some don't.
Yeah, but
This is the first time Dave Filoni's worked with real life. He's done animation up till now, so
Yeah, but I'm not one of the people who's like, oh, this show's really about Dave Filoni. No, it's not. It's
No.
not about him.
the thing is,
And who cares? I don't really give a shit what his career is at Lucasfilm. I don't care.
Now-
I don't care if he gets fired tomorrow. All right? To me, I want the good content. I don't care about the behind the scenes
well,
people
here's the
showing
thing.
up.
Like, I think for you and I, and for a lot of the diehard Star Wars fans who know who he is, and you made the joke. You texted me, you made the joke saying at least he didn't wear the hat, which is good. It was very funny. We know who he is. We recognize him, even though he's not like a face of Star Wars. I think any regular person watching that wouldn't have known who he was. So that was supposed
No,
to be
that's true.
That's supposed to be like an Easter egg for the diehard Star Wars fans, but it's not one I really want to uncover. I don't really care. You're right. I don't care if Dave Filoni's in it or not.
But it bugs me to see, like, if Jon Favreau showed up and was the chef on board the ship, it would piss me off. I'd go like, that's not
Well, I
what
think
this
Jon
franchise
Favreau
is.
he's different though. Jon Favreau was an actor first,
Yeah.
and then a director, and
Yeah.
he's known right now. The thing he's known most for is being Happy Hogan on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think he would be a distraction if his face showed up. And I think it's interesting that he does a voice of. The one bounty hunter guy. We had Richard Ayoade do the voice of like some of these people who are doing voices would be distracting if they showed up as themselves. But the ones who showed up that we know are not distracting. They work really well because they're really good character actors. Okay, we're getting all over the place here. What else?
Well, no, I mean, but generally, I thought it was one of the best episodes.
Oh, it's so much fun. I just loved it from start to finish, and I watched the whole thing, made sure of it, watched the whole thing to see how it ends. But it was just a fun episode. We got to see him kind of outthink them. I got lots of like cool vibes of when he's like shutting the doors to make them go in certain directions. It felt like that scene from the Force Awakens when when Rey is like shutting the doors on Han's ship to get the creature to go in different ways and that kind of stuff, and he takes them out one by one. I really kind of want to know more about the history there between the Mandalorian and that group of people and what happened with him and that prisoner, the other Twi'lek, who was the brother of the woman
who's no longer with us.
Yeah, like that. Well, I guess we assume he died. Did we see him
he's
die?
Gone. He's a goner.
Because the X-wings fired on them.
Yeah.
I just think that's another thing is that the X-wings show up. They see a beacon. They follow the beacon, which is supposed to be coming from a prisoner ship. They don't see the prisoner ship, but they see that there's a space station that's launching a fighter against them, so they just shoot it.
Yeah.
Like, why don't they stop and talk? Like, this is not a very New Republic thing to do.
Well, we don't know how that works, right? So I guess that's how it works. I guess we learned how it works.
I don't know that Mandalorian had that in mind when he left that with them. I think he thought they would get arrested. That's what I would have assumed.
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay,
I think he knew. Okay. I think he gave them the death sentence and he didn't care.
Okay.
There's no honor among thieves, and I think that's.
Well, I think he's been very careful not to kill people, and he had every justification. Well, not to kill people
Right.
Like he had every justification to kill Bill Burr and the other guys, and he didn't. I actually thought the Deveronian Clancy Brown. I thought he died when the doors smashed him.
Yeah.
I don't understand what happened there.
I thought that was a funny scene.
It was great. Yeah, he gets the doors coming down. He brings them up, and then all of a sudden.
Also, impervious to flame, which I liked.
Which is really cool because he's a devil, right? Because there's that kind of a thing where he looks like a devil.
From Mustafar. Maybe he's from Mustafar.
Maybe. I don't know.
He would do okay. If he would have fought Obi-Wan and fell in the lava, he would have been all right.
I can't. Someone needs to check this for me, but I think that was one of the costumes they borrowed from some other film. Like a couple of those costumes in the cantina were borrowed from other stuff they had on the lot at the time, just to make a big kind of amalgamation of different things. So I think that was one of them that was supposed to be like a Satan costume from something else.
I thought the blend of the team was fun. It was a good blend, a good mixture of aliens. And a human and a droid. That's perfect. I thought that couldn't be better. I thought it was interesting to see that the New Republic had a reliance on droids guarding prisoners in these little floating prison stations.
Wow, and they're probably shorthanded, right?
You would think it'd be ripe for prison breaks all the time, and the Mandalorian was in a cell for all of 10 seconds before he broke out.
Right, that's right.
You know what I mean?
He was smart enough to figure out how to do that.
No one else in there can figure out how to bust out. He has some of the he has his utility belt, which lets him get out of anything.
And we also saw that Baby Yoda can take care of himself too. Apparently, like he can just kind of wander in and out and hide and that kind of stuff. Like he's really shows that he's aware of everything going on around him more than maybe a normal baby would. Like I think he's maybe more like a toddler Yoda at this point.
He's still learning stuff though. The hide and go seek game he plays basically with the droid when the droid wants to kill him. And then he looks like he's about to use the Force, and then the Mandalorian shoots the droid from behind.
But would he have done something with the Force?
Well, that's just, and Baby Yoda looks at his hand like, I did that. Like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Like, he thought he did it.
Yeah.
And he was like, what the hell? Whoa, cool. Kind of thing. So he's still discovering what he can and can't do, but he appeared to know enough that he was going to need to stop this guy. This guy was menacing as opposed to
he knew he was in danger.
And also you can never forgive Bill Burr for dropping Baby Yoda onto the floor.
What a jerk.
Calling him a pet.
Oh, what a jerk.
Bill
Burr is all Bill Burr. Like it's a miracle he only said wise ass, I think. I'm sure there are lots of outtakes of him swearing and doing other things that are not very Star Wars. But,
I'm sure Nice Shoes was ad lib.
But he was very Bill Burr in this, and he plays like a good kind of jerk. I like the shoulder-mounted gun. I think that's a very cool
I was
thing.
going to mention that as well.
Yeah.
That's cool. We want that. We want to see more of that.
Yeah, and the cool technology like that is fun.
To shoot around corners.
And it looks like we'll see him again because they were now. I didn't miss anything, right? They were in a cell at the end of it. They didn't.
They were.
They did not get killed. So those three we'll hopefully see again.
We will.
I think those are great. Those are all three great actors and great characters. That was. I guess that's pretty much it for the. Like there was nothing else that I can think of that really stood out to me.
It's if there's a murmur among Star Wars fandom about the Mandalorian, it's like we need to wrap up the story.
Well, it's funny because it seems to be it's not serialized. It's very much a thing of the week, you know, adventure of the week kind of a thing, which used to be the norm in television, and now it's not. So everybody's, what's going on? Why aren't we getting a consistent story here?
There's a thread going through, the Baby Yoda thread.
Well, sure, but that's it.
We don't know what happened to the people who he ripped off back on the original planet, whatever that was called. I can't remember.
The droid was figuring it out as he was looking at the holographic recording of
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers. So he was figuring that out, and I think he knew that the guild wanted him. And obviously his buddy at the beginning knew the guild wanted him and didn't care.
Right.
Right? So, but he was going to double cross him. He was going to send that fighter out to shoot him down and kill him.
It's also unclear who was double crossing who and for what in that episode.
I think they were all. I don't see the benefit in them double crossing the Mandalorian, unless something happened in the past that they made them want to get revenge on him. Something seemed to have happened between him and that male Twilight guy.
Well, he got him captured.
I guess, but we don't know the circumstances of that. So he wanted to get. That's when they decided to.
The Mandalorian just wants to get paid.
That's it.
That's all he cares about.
That's all he cares about. So he got paid, and he took off, and then the X-Wing showed up. So, and we have another episode tomorrow on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And what's that going to be? I have no idea.
I hope it's not a tie-in with the movie. I don't want it to be a tie-in with the movie.
Now, did they always have this scheduled for this Wednesday, or did they move it?
No, I think they did.
Okay.
I think it was.
Is it just because they want to get it out of the way before Star Wars drops, and they want to have like the weekend free for Rise of Skywalker discussions online, or
probably? What? And I also think. I know yesterday I saw people going, I'm logging off because the leaks have already started.
I saw Steele Saunders say that, yeah.
I saw more than that.
Yeah.
And today, Twitter, it's the trending topic is Rise of Skywalker premiere.
Okay.
So I looked at it.
Oh, yeah, last night was the Hollywood premiere.
Yeah, right? I looked,
yep.
And there's people definitely tweeting Reddit threads about final battles and all kinds of stuff, which I did not read. I just saw nothing. I didn't see any photos, but I definitely saw stuff that if you want to click on it and see further, you are gonna be spoiled. So there's a warning to everybody. Get very careful.
I was out at a work placement visit last week as we finished up our work placement here in the program, and one of the students mentioned that there was a new clip released by Lucasfilm, the one involving Kylo Ren. And I didn't really want to watch it, but I didn't want to be rude either because the work placement supervisor was there too, and they're all big Star Wars fans. And so we watched it. I'm like, I really just wish I didn't see that.
I saw the same one, and it is. Why the hell they would release that the week before the film comes out doesn't make any sense. I don't understand
why they're doing this. Like they've never released longer scenes like that before. Like I don't know why they felt they have to do that.
And I actually think, to me, it speaks to them really wanting people to go, and maybe the early tickets did not go as heavily as what they'd hoped. It could be. I'm sure we know it's going to do well. But Solo didn't do as well as they wanted, so I think there's a little bit of fear there, and I think that's an attempt to get people pumped for it.
Do you think they're worried that the backlash to The Last Jedi will hurt this one?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I think they're trying to convince us this will be a good movie.
I think, but I also think that because Solo, I think everybody thinks Solo came out too fast after the last one, and that accounted for a lot of the marketing. That appears to be the two main culprits. And then, what we don't want is another Star Wars film to underperform, because then it becomes a franchise issue as opposed to a timing issue. So I think that's what they're trying to do. I think, and most people, as terrible as it is, they'll only go to a movie, and we certainly have got no sense of a story apart from that.
But I'm just wondering, like, is it reasonable? Okay, so obviously The Force Awakens did the best box office of the three, right? Is that right?
Yeah. That's how it always goes.
Yeah, so it's going to fall off by the time the third movie comes out.
Phantom Menace did the best of those three. So the first one has got the hype. And the first one's always come after years of long waiting.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to see if I can find a list of Star Wars films.
Nobody's going broke on Star Wars.
No, I know, but I don't
there's
know.
an expectation.
What is the expectation for box office, and to me, the quality of the film is so much more important than box office, because we know it's going to do well. It's going to make money. It's going to be successful. Who cares if it doesn't make just as much money as the last one? I hope that that's not something that's helping them make decisions here, because I would really be, it doesn't matter how good this movie is, there's still going to be a portion of the population that doesn't like it.
Yeah.
There's still a section of people out there who hate the new era of Star Wars and they hate Kathleen Kennedy and all the other Disney stuff. But those people are not going to go away.
Yeah.
So I just want it to be a good movie. That's the only thing I care about at this point.
Yeah.
Let's get to our predictions for the last after The Last Jedi. We made predictions, and let's
so what I've done here is I've transcribed them from the original sheet that I was carrying around, and we made there's a handful. There's like about a dozen predictions here. And some of these are bold and will ultimately turn out to be crazy predictions. Others appear to be strangely close to the marketing we've seen, and some we've already got confirmed. So it's kind of fun. So the first prediction is one that I have stuck to all the way through, and I don't think it's going to pay off. And I don't believe you ever went along with this, but here it is. I have said all along that Rey and Kylo Ren are going to be brother and sister, and there will be some indication that Leia maybe knew something that Han Solo did not know about where Rey comes from.
Yeah, I was more I felt it more after the last movie, but I was hoping that she would be more closely. I was hoping after The Last Jedi, I thought she would be more closely related to Luke. It'd be Luke's, like they're cousins, they're not brother and sister, so she could be Luke's kid. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore. So what do we? You said that, but I
said that they would be brother and sister, and I still think that could happen. But I think, based on what we're seeing, I think it's a very long shot. I don't really think
they have to. One of the biggest complaints of The Last Jedi was that they kind of dismissed who her parents were. I don't believe that moment. I think that Kylo Ren is lying there, so I think that her parents do have significance, and I hope we find out who her parents are in this film. I know that it's not. I don't think it's Han and Leia. It could be Luke, and it could be Ben Kenobi. That's another possibility as well.
It's all interesting.
Or
Palpatine.
Now, of course, you have that clone theory, right? That she's a clone or something like that. So there's that as well.
There's one thing we didn't say that we did not predict, and that's Palpatine would be.
Right. No, we didn't see that coming for sure.
So keep that in mind.
Yes.
That we were imagining something different to what's there. So Palpatine throws a whole monkey wrench into the proceedings where I'm going to get up here and announce everything I've done, including the fact I created you from Mandalorians and you blah, 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 blah. Like, for all we know, he'll have a lot to say about both of their origins, and who the hell knows? I mean, and once again, we should probably tell people we're talking out of our asses here.
Oh, yes.
We don't know anything.
Yes.
So these aren't spoilers. So that's the first one. Am I standing by that they're going to be brother and sister? I have no choice but to at this point because I went all in early. So I'm going to stand by
I think that if they're related in any way, that's a win. I think that you get credit for that if they're related.
But I would say, and if it goes one step further and they go, these are Leia's children, though Han Solo was not aware of it, although, and maybe they're not both Han Solo's children.
Right,
I mean, there's all different kinds of.
I think there's any kind of bloodline there,
then it's a win.
Yes, for
sure.
Yeah.
And there might be some exceptions to that, because if Palpatine says Leia gave birth to you, but I made it happen, well, that's something different. I think that's a different storyline.
Yeah, maybe she was artificially inseminated.
Well, that's a Phantom Menace story.
That's right.
Storyline. So it's not off the. Out of the question that would happen. The second thing that you and I said was, hey, these first two movies came awfully close together. There's no time gap because she hands him the lightsaber from 1 to 2 from part 7 to part 8. So we said part 9 will feature a time gap.
I think that's going to happen.
I think
that
so
is true.
too.
I think that all indications is that there's going to be at least a year between the end of The Last Jedi and the beginning of this film.
So that's not a huge prediction, but I think that appears to have been borne out.
Okay.
But it's not much of a prediction because we just went there'll be a time gap as opposed to what?
Yeah.
I don't think that movie ended in a way that could just pick up.
No, they need time to regroup, right, after all the crap that happened. So, yeah.
Then we also said, and this is an easy one, we said the Knights of Ren will be appearing in this film.
And they will.
We know. We've got a clip, a very brief one, but we know that that's there. All right. Now we get into stuff that I don't think is going to happen, but here we go. Here's a few. We predicted, now I can't remember who, I know I said this and you might have gone along with it, but in this movie, they would not, in fact, the big baddies would be the arms dealers who DJ told us about.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think there's going to be anything.
Yeah, that whole Canto Bite sequence, I think, could just be taken out, and we would never know the difference. Honestly, we've talked about that being a mistake, and I think that including DJ and that whole thing with him, he was awesome, but I would there was no point to him. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be true.
And that's also if there is no anything. Because DJ famously here's a TIE fighter, here's an X-wing. They make them all. The same company makes them all.
Yeah.
And at the time, with fresh in our minds, we're like, that's it. That's the bad guy. That's the common enemy.
No, but that's like Ryan Johnson looking at the dice saying this is a big deal, and then JJ's like, no, it wasn't.
Yes.
It's just about your interpretation of the things. And whoever did Solo thought the dice were a big deal as well, and the dice are not a big deal.
No dice.
No dice.
There's a prediction. There will be no dice.
Oh, I don't think so. No, the dice are done.
Okay, so related to what we were just talking about is you and I, this is going to be ridiculous, but here we go. You and I had a discussion on that podcast about, okay, if they don't go after the arms dealers, then what the F is DJ doing in this film?
Nothing.
He's not doing anything. So then I suggested, this is just the lamest prediction. I suggested, could it be that DJ is Rey's father?
No. That's pretty funny, though. It's pretty funny.
It's funny,
Yeah,
but there's no freaking way.
Yeah,
DJ's not even in this film.
I think what we were doing is we were searching for reasons for that whole sequence to be relevant, because it isn't. And I think that's kind of in our kind of blindness of wanting to like the movie so much, we didn't want to acknowledge the fact that it really is a complete waste of time for them to go and do any of that stuff. And so we were looking for reasons to think it's worth it, and I don't think it is, and I don't think it's going to pay out at all. So yeah, obviously he's not Rey's father.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the stupidest one. Oh no, there's some to come. Then, okay, so we're at number 6. There's only a dozen. I suggested that were I making this, you and I had a long discussion about what Leia, what her role would be in this last film, especially knowing that the actor had passed away. And maybe she's a flashback. Maybe she's they use the deleted scenes, which, as it turns out, I guess they did, but who knows in what context. And then I think I suggested that maybe we'd find out that Leia, in fact, was dead all along. That even when they pull a sixth sense on us, and hey, I've never been here, bitches, just like Luke, in that final battle.
Well,
hey, fooled you twice. Shame on you, bitches.
The one thing that we never got to see, and we will never see, that you really wanted to see, was Leia kicking ass at the Force. Like, that was something that you thought we would get. And I thought that was a great prediction when you made it, but I just don't think, they don't have enough footage to show that. I think it's just going to be one scene with Leia, and it's going to be, maybe it'll be a pivotal scene where we find out who Rey really is. Maybe that'll be it. But it's only going to be the one scene, I think, and then we're going to move on because they don't have that much footage to work with here. So they're going to do, the front shots of her saying things. They're going to do, shots of behind from the for a body double and that kind of stuff, and do a little trickery like that to make us think that she's there. But
do you believe that Leia will be dead at the end of this film?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they will kill off Leia in this film. Because she's just going to go off and we're not going to see her again.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I think she'll be dead.
Okay.
But so there's 2 more predictions. But this ties into our next prediction, which was that there would be, in some form, a funeral or remembrance for Luke Skywalker, and that there could potentially be one, depending on the storyline, for Leia.
What about one for Han? They never did one for Han either.
Too late. Too soon?
This
is too late.
Well, come on. Like, what? Why didn't we get to see that? That would have been a perfect device to get people together to discuss the next steps. They just kind of skipped over all that. Yeah. We went from Han dying to them back at their planet regrouping to Rey flying off to give the lightsaber to Luke, and that was it. And that was like a couple of days. And then they go off to the planet. This is all within, like, episodes 7 and 8 all take place within a few weeks at the most. So there's no reason why they can't have Han in there as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah. I don't know about either one of those. I think maybe none of the above.
Luke said in the Last Jedi, he said no one's ever really gone.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see a Force Ghost Han.
Well, the film is called The Rise of Skywalker. So if Skywalker is until I believe that to be a double meaning, of course, but I also believe that Luke Skywalker will live at the end of the film.
Oh, okay, that's a cool one. That's good.
Yeah, I think he has to. Given
So
that
he didn't die during the. He didn't.
Oh,
when
maybe he
faded-
did.
when
Well,
faded
maybe
away.
he did, but who cares? Like it's always easy. Nobody knows how the Force works, so do what you
Okay.
want. Then you and I said, and I think this will bear itself out to be true. I think that there will be a final battle, and the final battle will tilt on the involvement of some famous Force ghosts, is what we said. And we suggested that Hayden Christensen was a potential Force ghost. We suggested that Mace Windu, ghost or not a ghost maybe. We suggested a Jedi that we've never seen in films before showing up for a grandiose final thing. But indeed, and maybe even Ewan McGregor or,
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We thought that the whole gang could be back for that battle, and that is what would tip the scales, the involvement of those Force ghosts.
I think that it'd be interesting that they would go with, if they show Obi-Wan Kenobi as a Force ghost, they have to show Ewan McGregor, right? That's the only option they have. But it would be, and we know that's much more possible now because he's doing a series, so he has been in contact with them. He could have shot some stuff, we don't know. But it's interesting that in the special editions or whenever they replaced those Force ghosts, like when they replaced Anakin Skywalker with Hayden Christensen, that they didn't also replace Sir Alec Guinness with Obi-Wan, right? Like why wouldn't they do that? It doesn't have to do with. We never really figured this out. How do the way the Force ghost looks? Does it have to do with how they looked when they died? Is that what we're talking about?
We don't have in the case of changing it back to Hayden Christensen, the implication would be when you were last with the forces of good is what you look like.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, maybe
when you're last, and he did recant on his deathbed too, and so we don't know what that has to do with anything, but it might have something to do.
Okay.
Because you know the secret, right? You live a horrible life, and then right when you're on your deathbed, you're like, I'm sorry, God.
Yeah.
And God's like, no problem.
that's why there's so many old people in church. Seriously,
right.
Go to church. There's a bunch of old people.
That's
there.
right. So it could have something to do with that, too.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're going to get a full explanation. I don't think it matters, really. Then we said, so we're number 9, so just a few to go here. We said Maz Kanata was going to show up and explain finally
Where
the
she got the
origin
lightsaber?
of the lightsaber.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen.
Well, or it could be a flashback.
Yeah.
Will
But
we
either
get
way,
the-
we'll find out. We'll find out how
how
she got that lightsaber.
More than anything, I demand a motherfucking explanation because you can't say that's a story for another time
And not tell us the story.
Yeah, have another drink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh,
You
God.
have to buy the extra the DVD with the extra scenes to get that story. No, I think it's going to happen. I really would be interesting to know how that happened because, and apparently there was already, again, we talked about this in the original film, in The Force Awakens. That was going to be the opening sequence, was going to be that lightsaber, following through time to figure out how it got to Maz's castle. So they probably thought it out. They've got to have that answer.
Number 10, we're a win already, and we said Lando would be in this film.
Yeah.
That was a big prediction back in the day, and we already know it's true. Then number 11, we said there would be a power struggle between Kylo Ren and Hux, and that power struggle.
That happened at the end of The Last Jedi, though.
Oh no, but
Kylo Ren won that.
but we said this film would further explore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, would further explore that power struggle. But I think, and then let's talk. I'll throw in the last one because I think this all comes together. We also said, and this is true and not true at the same time. We also suggested that with the death of Snoke, another Sith would emerge. And one has, but it's not a new one. It's an old one, and that's Emperor Palpatine, who we know to be in this film. So we predicted a power struggle and another dark Force user. It's true, we got them, but that's not really what we were thinking.
Here's a question that do you think if Rian Johnson had not killed Snoke in The Last Jedi, that it would be Snoke in this position instead of the Emperor? I think when JJ created Snoke, the character, he thought of him as the big bad for the entire 3 movies.
I would just say if the actor who played Palpatine was not alive, it would be a totally different story. But I think, and JJ also has it in his head. He's got something weird in his head that I don't necessarily agree with, but he says it all the time. This is the ending to the 9-movie saga. That's me. That's what I'm doing. I'm ending all 9 on this one. I don't know. I don't think he had to do that. I think that the current trilogy could just be an ending to the current
Yeah,
trilogy.
you don't have to tie in episode 1.
But and not just that, the marketing all along lately has dropped the Roman numerals.
It's also got the Duel of the Fates theme in the new trailer,
Yeah.
so they're going back to that. So I don't know if they're trying to harken back to episode 1 or that prequel trilogy.
It's like when the Super Bowl drops the Roman numeral when it gets to 50 because no one knows what the hell an L is. It's the same thing. It was like, they don't know. No one's going to know what these things are. So they take them out. But that also had the impact of not making us really linking them that close together.
Yeah.
Plus, with the side movies, with Rogue One and Solo coming out, it became less important. So JJ, whatever, he believes himself, and because he does, that changes the way I look at this last film or what I predict.
Well, yeah, that opens the possibility up for Hayden Christensen as a Force Ghost because the Emperor is the one who turned him originally, right? So if you really are saying you're going to wrap it all up, then you have to have some sort of resolution between Darth Vader and the Emperor. You know, you have to have resolution between. Luke
who vanishes and whatever he's
Luke,
up to.
Yeah, and then of course Rey and Finn and all that stuff. So, man, that's a lot for one movie to do. I don't know.
It's a lot.
I don't know if that's a good idea. Do you think Kylo Ren will be redeemed and come out on the light side?
That's a very tough one because I think he could I don't think they're going to kill him. Do you?
No.
I think it's a very low odds. I think that character works, and when you got a character who works, it's so hard to pull that plug. It's easier to pull the plugs on the older actors.
But
like a guy like Lando is easier to kill.
Well, yeah, but you think we're going to lose one of the big three of Rey, Finn, or Poe?
Then it would be Poe, I would suggest.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if those are going to die, it's going to be Poe.
His use has not been maxed out, let's just say, over the trilogy. That would not. I don't think that would be the.
What else? Or any other predictions that you can think of that you want to put out there before we actually go see the movie?
This is so tough. Like we really didn't get into who might live or die, and one of the things. I mean, we've had lots of complaints about the current series, and one of them is the droids R2 and 3PO haven't been used to
and
their
we have
full
another
potential.
new one in this movie too, by the way. He looks like a cone with a wheel. Yeah. Looks like the laziest design I've ever seen for a droid. I'm not a fan of this new droid, whatever it is.
I don't think we need one, and the underuse of R2D2 in particular has got people.
We knew 3PO is going to do something. He's going to look at his friends for the last time. We know
and
that.
His eyes turn red. We know he's holding a gun at one point because of the marketing. So they'll make him go berserker, put him in berserker mode. Maybe
that'd be cool.
I think that's. I mean, that's where my mind goes when I put all that together. But I could be totally wrong. Or he could be impersonating someone, or who the hell knows? Who knows what he could be doing?
Yeah, or they could be uploading his consciousness to the ship like they did for What's-Her-Face and Solo, right? They could be doing that as well.
Oh, yeah, there's so many different ways to do that. But once again, I don't know that we've seen many scenes with R2-D2 saving the day.
There was one nice scene in the last film between R2 and Luke. That was like the best thing that we've seen from R2-D2. That was a cheap move. That was a great line and a great scene, and that's all we've really seen from him, you know? Like, it just... Yeah, underused for sure.
It's a little late in the series to be introducing some of the stuff that we're getting introduced. Like
there's a lot of new characters coming in here. Yeah,
we know that we got new characters showing up. We're gonna have old ones, cameos, and Lord knows what showing up in this for sure. The film itself is like 2.5 hours long. About I don't know. Like it's we're gonna have a lot to talk about after this film in terms of. How the two films prior set up this last one effectively, or did they squander the time they had getting to sort of the money shot in this last film?
I think my prediction is that the second episode is gonna stick out like a sore thumb.
You think?
Yeah, because the first two were done by JJ and the second one wasn't. I think that Rian Johnson.
No, you mean the first and last were done by JJ.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I think Rian Johnson tried to challenge the audience and did successfully challenge the audience by killing off some characters that JJ probably would have kept around, like Snoke. And that JJ is having to kind of pick up what he wanted this to be. Now, I don't think he was going to go. Don't think he went into it. JJ was trying to set up the other two films for success, which is why he introduced all this stuff in the first one. And then Rian Johnson kind of didn't take the ball. You know what I mean? He just said, no, I'm going to do my own thing. And I think what he did was fine, but I think that JJ's got to do a bit of backpedaling now to get.
Oh,
get
he
it
will.
He's got to reset. That's why we have Emperor Palpatine in here, not Snoke. We would have found out if Snoke had lived. We would have found out his origin story in this movie, right? But now we're not going to get that. So
well, we're going to find out he was a puppet of the Emperor,
Right.
Because we have to. Because why else did things unfold that way if all along we had this guy, the guy who, by the way, is the puppet master of Star Wars?
The one thing, this is going to tie back to The Mandalorian before we wrap up here. The one thing that we could be getting in The Mandalorian, because we've heard that this series will show us the roots of the First Order. We'll see how the First Order started to become a thing. So we might see that in tomorrow's episode.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe we'll see Snoke in tomorrow's episode. Right? No?
Come on.
I don't know.
Not a chance.
Okay.
I don't want any tie-in. I don't necessarily think there will be.
But I definitely have heard that from people being interviewed that say we're going to start to see the beginnings of the First Order in this series. So I've heard that. I don't know what that means. Maybe we have already.
Because they're abducting babies and there is a baby.
But maybe Werner Herzog is that. Maybe that's what they meant by that, right?
Maybe.
So I don't know. We'll have to see. But I think that I'm really looking forward to this movie. I think it's going to be good. I'm not going to hem and haw about the details of, this is good, this is bad, although we'll do that on the podcast. But I think that in the end, the second one is going to be the worst of the three, and as opposed to the best of the three as it is in the
I
original
already
trilogy.
think Last Jedi is better than Force Awakens.
Okay, I don't know if
I
I
think
agree
it
with
is.
that. I have to rewatch them all.
But they both have problems, though. They both have problems.
Yeah.
I still think they're both fine films. They're fine. Like I would not give either one a 10 out of 10, but I also wouldn't give either one an
They're
F.
both better than the prequels, I'll say that. That's for sure.
Although the highs and the great moments in the prequels continue to be great.
I know.
Whereas I think maybe this trilogy has been more consistent, but maybe the highs haven't been quite as high.
Maybe.
There's been no Darth Maul.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, I think Kylo Ren is meant to be the Darth Vader, Darth whoever, and he's not doing that the same way that they were done in other films, which I like, right? It's a new way of storytelling. The character of Kylo Ren is actually probably one of my favorites in this whole thing because he's so conflicted and he's so the whole thing about him is that you really don't know which way he's going to go.
See, I thought here's another prediction that I assume will not happen, and I didn't even write this one down because it falls into sort of the miscellaneous little whatever. But I thought at some point during the trilogy, all the way back, that Kylo Ren would ultimately put on the Darth Vader mask. He would ultimately become Darth Vader once again. If Darth Vader isn't around, then I'm going to be Darth Vader, and maybe he'd even be disfigured. Maybe he would have
a bit of a scar going on his face.
Well, they've certainly been hinting all along that could happen, but I don't actually think that that's a possibility, especially since we see in the trailer. We see the mask on the pedestal.
He's pretty much done the mask thing, right? And there's some kind of a. I have to assume it's a Force vision in which him and Rey smash that statue of Darth Vader or whatever that is. I have to assume that's a Force.
It's just
vision.
like the Dark Ray thing. Well, how are you going to introduce that in this
I know.
film?
It's a Force vision. So
you
can't trust the trailers for sure. There's no. The trailers are not going to give us any kind of hint of what the story actually is.
When you show scenes in the trailers that aren't in the finished movie, that's when you know you can't trust the trailer.
That's when they lost us, right? They lost us at Rogue One. So
yeah, even different readings of lines that were in the film.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that Kylo Ren will live, but he will not. No. Okay. I'm going to put this. He will not turn to the light side. But I think that means he has to die. Shit, I just thought of that now.
It's so tough.
If he does not go back to the light, he has to die. I feel like that's the way it's got to be.
Or he finishes what his grandfather started, which is he kills Palpatine. And who knows what that means.
But that means he reverts to the light side. So he could be that.
No, you could still be a bad guy and realize when somebody needs to die.
But you think about
it doesn't automatically.
This is the end, right? So we're not going to come back to this. So you have to think about
we will.
These people are in a final state of something. So either he's in prison for the rest of his life, or he's dead, or he's good, and we find out that. So I think actually there's more of a chance of him becoming good in the end of this than not. So I just worked this through my own just now.
Does that mean that there's a chance that Dark Ray will outlast the end of this film?
No. I think the Emperor is the big bad. I think this is my final prediction. The Emperor is the big bad. The two of them are going to unite against the Emperor in the end. That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I don't know. I got to think that I'm still not.
Okay, well,
my mind hasn't
tweet
gone
your
there.
predictions.
Well, these are I'm going to stick with the ones that we already
okay.
made. I don't know if I have new ones, but
That's my new one.
As you get closer to the movie being released, I just stop thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm not. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to see what the hell they throw my way. Like, remember last time the surprise in The Last Jedi was like what a sort of compressed window of time
Yeah.
it was all about, and the sort of how much time we spent like as a sitting duck with the
slow chase.
First Order on our ass.
Yeah.
Like we didn't expect any of that stuff.
No, I like that.
Nah, but then we had the bizarre Canto Bight where, we're stuck here in space. Well, no, we can actually get out really fast if we blah, blah, blah. Like that's never sort of borne itself out to make any sense. You know what? Yeah, so like, well, let's see. They could throw any number of things at us, but I do think JJ will resolve a lot of this stuff. For better or for worse.
Well, this is also the guy that brought us Lost, so he did not resolve most of Lost.
Yeah.
So he's not under any obligation to resolve these things for us. I'm still trying to find where the new movies. I'm looking at the top grossing films of all time, and The Force Awakens was up there, but I still have not seen The Last Jedi as far as how many. There it is. Okay, so it's number 45 on the list. The Last Jedi brought in $620 million. That's I think that's got to be domestic. No, it's got to be more than $1 billion worldwide. Oh yeah, real worldwide box office, $1.3 billion.
Wow.
So and then the Force Awakens was way higher. Where is he here? Phantom Menace is higher than that. Phantom Menace adjusted. Phantom Menace brought in $1.75 billion.
Oh yeah.
Insane.
Well, the pent up demand for that one.
Yeah. Okay. And here so this Force Awakens $2.5 billion, $2.15 billion. So I mean, even if this one crosses the $1 billion mark, I think it's a win. I got to think it's a win, right? And I think it will cross the $1 billion mark. And I don't think they should be depending on that to tell them what to do going forward. I think hopefully they stick with whatever they have planned out.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Is that it? Any other things you want to say?
No, let's go to the movie, and then we'll do this on Friday morning.
Yeah,
we'll do another.
We'll put out another episode on Friday morning. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds podcast. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you in the ass.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?